everyone, I'm Lavanya from YourPedia, your IELTS mentor, and today we are going to study how you can attempt your process charts in academic writing task 1. All right, now before we begin, you need to know what a process chart is. So remember we used to write about the water cycle in your 5th grade? That's exactly what a process chart means. A process chart is basically a bunch of diagrams that are describing a single process happening. So it could be something like how is chocolate manufactured, or how you can get your passport or driving license from any institution. So all of these are different parts of how you can get a process chart. Okay, to give you an overall oversight on how you can write one, and this, the first thing you need to know is that this is report writing. Report writing means that you are going to describe the information that is given to you in detail, but that is it. You will not provide any personal content, anything from your own side in these tasks at all. That is the first thing you have to make sure that you never do. The second thing is that you have to write 150 words for minimum. You can write even 300 words, that's possible, but do not write even 149 words. That is a blunder that you will commit if you go below that minimum word limit, okay? So 150 words are a minimum limit for everyone. And these 150 words have to be written in less than 20 minutes. So 150 words is a minimum limit for words, and 20 minutes is the maximum time that you're given to do your writing task 1. All right? After that, you need to know that you are going to write your task in a formal style of writing. What does it mean? It means two things. First, abbreviations are not allowed. That means you cannot write can't, okay? You cannot write don't. These words should be written in full form, cannot, do not, okay? And the second thing is do not use any personal pronouns. Personal pronouns means you cannot use he, she, they, I, or even you. These are words that have absolutely should be avoided while you're attempting your writing task 1 in academic. Now let's move on and discuss a specific question just so you can know the structure and everything about how you will attempt a process chart. This is a sample question that appears in IELTS for your process chart questions. In this, first of all, let us focus and understand what the question says. The diagram below shows the water supply system in Australia at present and in future. Summarize information by selecting and reporting the main features. So the question is telling you that there are two different diagrams here. The first one is this, second one is this. The first one is telling you what is the present water supply system in Australia like, and the second one is telling you about the future water supply system. So you are given two diagrams and you have to point out the similarities and comparisons. That is, you have to make a comparative study in this question. Now, for those students who have a slight idea about how to do the task, I recommend that you pause the video right here and attempt it. For those who have no idea how to write one, we will discuss it right now. So, moving on. Now, you already know what the question means. They're talking about a country, they're talking about water supply system, and they have given us two different diagrams for the present and the future. In this, as we have already discussed in the previous videos before, you know that in every writing task, or even task 1 or 2, you have to make at least 4 paras, right? First is introduction, second is a body paragraph 1, a body paragraph 2, and then there is an overall statement. Okay, so introduction in every writing task 1 will contain two things specifically. First, what kind of diagram it is. This is a flow chart, or you can say it is a process chart. So in this, you will actually say that the given process charts, because there are two, we'll use an S after this, the given process charts describe, and whatever the question is, that's the second part of your statement, whatever the question is, you will just reframe it. Okay, so this is the most important bit. So in this question, you can see that the given two pictures, or let's say, a flow chart, illustrate Australia's current water supply system and changes that are proposed to it in the future. That's how you write an introduction. You will not use the exact statement that is given here, because then it would mean that you have just copy pasted it and that would reduce your band score. What you have to do is rephrase it in a way that it means the same. So you can use words like, instead of present, you can say current. Instead of saying present and future, you can say current and the one changes that will be proposed in the future. Okay, so you'll just paraphrase it in the same way. This is your introduction. This is enough. One sentence that describes everything is enough. But if you want to, you can add a third part to it, and you can mention the first step and the last step in this. Or you can say that there are various steps given in the process. In this one, as there are not that many steps, you can already notice that, right? So you can just say something like, it can be seen that the changes proposed are for better recycling of the water so that no wastewater is released into the river anymore. That's it. Because we can see here that the river is not connected to the water supply system anymore in the future, right? That is what we'll point out in our introduction, and that is it. Your introduction is done. All right. Now let's focus on body paragraph 1 and 2. Before you start writing body paragraphs, there is first thing you need to know is that understand what the process is like. That is, pay attention here. What are they actually doing? This is a where the water is supplied to and water is taken out from. They have a dam and storage area here. There is a water treatment plant here. There is a river here. Same here. Okay, so first of all, you need to know the process of what is happening and how it is happening. After that, the second important thing is you have to know what tenses, what grammar are you going to use. In the first body paragraph, as you are going to start describing it, you'll probably start with the present one. So the present information has to be written in present tense, and the one that describing the future, you will use a future tense. This is very important. If you mix and match this, you will lose grades very quickly. So make sure when you are describing the present water system, you use a present tense. And when you're going to describe the future one, you will use words like prediction. You'll use words like will be, shall be, something like that, okay? So that it is very clear what diagram you're talking about right then and there. After that, the vocabulary that you will use while describing the process. There are certain words that are very helpful if you remember them. Okay, so certain words could something like following this, after that, subsequently, firstly, secondly, from this, following that. So these are certain words that are used to bridge the gap from one step to another. This will improve your cohesion score, which is also very important. So this is the third most important bit here. Always use vocabulary words that are such like this. I'll repeat them once again. Following this, after that, subsequently, firstly, secondly, or you can even say before that, from this, anything like this, okay? Always try to use different words to start a different sentence. This is very important. Now, once you start describing the information in your body paragraphs, you will notice that to point out different comparisons and similarities, first of all, you need a little bit of a base. So because in this, normally you only get one process chart. In this one, I have taken a difficult question just so it makes it easier for you to do the other ones. You have two process charts. So your first body paragraph will only be describing the present water system, okay? The water supply system. So in this, you can just simply start with, at present, the city receives its water supply from a dam, and then the impure water is treated by a water treatment plant, and some of it, that is the storm water, is thrown directly into the river. And that is how you will just start your body paragraph 1 directly with hardcore information. You will not add anything from your own side. After that, once you have described the whole process, you will move on to the second body paragraph. In the second body paragraph, you will start pointing out the comparisons here. Okay, so you can say something like how the water city will continue to receive its water, that is pure water supply from the dam. However, you will use this word exactly. However, the storm water will not be released into the river anymore. Okay, so you'll have to basically bridge the gap between these two, improve your cohesion points by using vocabulary words like this, and draw out as many comparisons as possible. Once you start doing that, you will notice that you will describe all of this information in the way that you need to, while also pointing out as many comparisons and similarities as possible. Now, and the last is the overall statement. The overall statement for a process chart is the easiest thing, because here you'll just point out, okay, this was the end product, or this was the final product that you received. Here, because we are not really receiving a product, you can say something like the nation's water supply system will be based on a better recycling process or a more environment friendly process in the future, and thus it will not actually pollute any rivers or any other natural water bodies. Okay, that's it. That's your overall statement. So now you have a structure, you have the content. I will also give you a sample answer for this, which is this one. You can take a screenshot if you want to read this. This is very important to know what a good writing task looks like, just so you can copy that style in your own answers. All right. Now, after this, there are certain tips aside from the three that I gave you before that you need to keep in mind. The first one is that make sure your sentence structure is not being repeated. This is very important. When I'm giving you different vocabulary words, such as following this, subsequently, after this, the major topic and the major goal behind that is you're not starting every single sentence the same way and ending it. You cannot go like, okay, this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened. You will lose your marks if you do that. Okay, so make sure you're using different sentence structures. Use simple sentence, use compound sentence, use a few complex sentences so that your score and your band actually increases very quickly if you do that. The second is always decide what you want to write before you start your writing. And this is especially important for introduction and overall. You have to know, okay, so I'm going to start my introduction with this and this, and then I'm going to state that, okay, the first part is this, the second part is this, or maybe they're making a comparison as we did in this question. So you need to know what introduction overall is before you start writing, just because it makes it easier for you to write very quickly as you only have 20 minutes to do this task, all right? So plan ahead before you start writing. The third is that only group two steps together if you're sure you have enough content to write 150 words. One of the major things that happen in a process chart is that sometimes it's just too simple. There's just not enough content to stretch it to 150 words. In that case, avoid grouping two or three steps together. All right, avoid using things like this happened, and after that, immediately this is used. Okay, using sentences like this actually decreases your word count. So try to elongate the process, try to use heavy words, and try to, emphasize each step individually if you have fewer content. Now, then you have to make sure that you finish your first task in 20 minutes, but you can also try to do it in less than 20 minutes. That is 15 minutes should be a goal. Just because your task one in writing will have less importance than your task two. In this case, just try to do your task one in less time. Okay, this is very important. You can actually do it because you're not putting your own input in these questions. So you just have to describe what is given in the question. That is why it is actually possible to do this in within 15 minutes. Okay. And last and most important, the biggest goal tip that we have for you is practice. Practice, practice, practice. Practice a lot if you're going to go for IELTS in less than a month or so. And you have to know that writing task one is easy as long as you practice hard enough, because you can actually fix certain points and everything and it will be done. Okay, now I'll just give you an extra question that you can do at your own pace, and take a screenshot if you want to and do this question and share your feedback with us. Thank you and have a nice day. We'll be back with another video next week.